Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. And this show was put together by none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. She's also the person that helped me make sure I got this guest here. And she's none other than my wife, Terry Marsh. I want to say to my viewing audience, to God be the glory. Madam President.
Sure.
I want to thank you for taking away from your busy schedule. I've been reading a lot what's happening. And for my audience to know, in case you didn't know, she's also the chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party. And there's some elections that's coming up that's very important in reference to criminal justice reform. And that is making sure that there are good judges on the bench.
That's true.
I know you got some things on your mind, and I want my viewing audience to hear what you have to say, and we can get off into it.
All right, good. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, Gator. I appreciate it. You know, I think it's really important that folks understand that we're heading into another election cycle, and we have a real chance to continue the criminal justice reform efforts that we've initiated 4 years ago with the election of Kim Foxx as our state's attorney. You know, she is a very accomplished person and a very, very good state's attorney. And she's been committed to criminal justice reform from the point at which she took office, and I think that's really critical. If you look at some of the things that she's done, you know, acknowledging, and this is really important, acknowledging the injustices of the past. I think there have been 50 exonerations related to corrupt Sergeant Ron Watts alone.
Right.
But you know, an acknowledgement of the travesties that occurred under John Burge. You know, I think it's really important, if people are going to have faith in their public institutions, it's really important that we acknowledge the challenges that we've faced in the past. Challenges that everyone in the African American community is aware of, right?
Correct.
But now we have a state's attorney who's willing to say as well that there have been terrible miscarriages of justice, and those need to be addressed.
You know, Madam President, from what I've read in the paper, because, you know, I've been keeping up with this, criminal justice reform is one of my pet peeves. She has a total of 83 to 84 individuals, okay? And one of the things that's appalling to me, they're using this Smollett thing as a smoke screen. When I see the media, I'm not going to say they're racist, but I'm going to say they're biased. When you have a bunch of white guys come down and protest the state's attorney's office, and one of the guys go on there publicly, and he says he wished Laquan McDonald pretty much has been shot 18 times. When you see the fraternal police attacking Kim Foxx, and they say because she won't arrest an individual when the fraternal police feel like that individual has assaulted them. And then when you see what happened in that high school where 2 police officers assaulted a young 16-year-old, you follow me, and it was videotaped, but I don't hear the media screaming for the state's attorney to charge those 2 individuals and let them go through the process if they get indicted, but they should get arrested by the police officers. We know police officers that did wrong. This election, and try not to say what we know is right, because now they're trying to make it appear that if you say that there's some racist actions that is happening, that all of a sudden that's an evil thing for us to say when we live with racism all our life, pretty much.
Sure. I mean, it's the foundational experience for black people, right?
Correct.
Struggling with racism and bias. And, you know, I think it's important to understand, on April 1st, when the Fraternal Order of Police came downtown to 69 West Washington and were outside the building protesting Kim Foxx and the Jussie Smollett decision by her office, they were joined by white nationalists.
Correct.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Correct.
There were white nationalists
Correct.
with them. You know, and it's hard to characterize this in any other way than bias at
Correct.
best and racism at worst. You know, I'm deeply troubled by the fact that the Fraternal Order of Police would welcome white nationalists
right.
into their protest. First of all, I'm disturbed that they're protesting Kim about this. I mean, this is a target of convenience. They're unhappy with her criminal justice reform efforts.
Correct.
I mean, that's what this is about. And they just picked this issue because it's the issue of the day. It's the flavor of the month. But you know, allowing yourself to be used or to accommodate white nationalists among your ranks is profoundly disturbing to me.
Right. Now that's off the issue. Let's get into the most important thing. You're still the county board president. I've talked to a lot of committeemen, and they feel that you are very strong. You are true to your word and your commitment, especially to the aldermen within the 30 other townships or whatever that is, you know.
Yeah.
And when I see that you was fair and made them inclusive when you broke down the judicial, for lack of a better phrase, the judicial scale, where you made one individual, I think was at Harmon, over the Supreme Court.
Yeah, over the circuit court.
Yeah, over the circuit court, right.
And he is the chair, and the vice chair is Michelle Harris from the
Yes, I know.
court.
Right. See, I know. That's one reason I asked you to come onto the show.
Right.
Because you have individuals out there, and I'm not calling your name to diss you, but calling your name for clarification. When you have like Mays Jackson them saying, well, she picked 3 white guys and there's no African Americans, that's a lie. And one of the things is we have to, when you see someone lying, you got to let them know that they're lying. Some of the people don't go to those committee meetings. I do. So it's open and transparent because I'm not a committeeman.
Right.
You know, and I think it's important that our viewing and listening audience understand what you do, because I'm seeing journalists. I watched Fran Spellman's podcast, and for them to feel like you got a shellacking, me and others that I've been talking to, they feel that the people gave a mandate because they felt that you are a good county board president. You know what I mean? That's what people are telling me. Well, Gator, I feel we ought to have an African American woman over here, and Toni need to be African American woman remaining there because she's so strong. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I don't feel, and a lot of people don't feel, because I'm reading the paper, to try to make it where if Lori, the mayor-elect, should fail in her obligations, that somehow or another, they're going to try to make the excuse that it's because of you by not working with her.
Well, let me just say, I'm committed to working with the mayor-elect, and you know, I tried to work with Rahm Emanuel as mayor, particularly around some of the violence issues that concern both of us. And the people of the city of Chicago are half the population of the county. We have about 134 cities, towns, and villages in the county of Cook, the second largest county in the country. And half of the people of the county are in one city, the city of Chicago. And of course, it's in my interest as president of the county board to work with the mayor, and I will do that.
Right. And one of the things I'm going to say, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's right.
When I see that you let those individuals from the various townships, that you're concerned as the county board president for development, to be in their townships as well as if you were the mayor, you wanted the south side and west side to get development. And one of the things that I think, again, just my opinion, there need to be something that's within the ordinance or the legislation or whatever it is, where it says fair jobs and contracts for African Americans, women, and minorities.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
Because with all the development that is happening, I just read in the paper the other day, they talking about another city within a city.
Right.
You know.
The 78 or the Lincoln Yards projects.
Right. And they got another project that they're talking about around Soldier Field.
Right.
So I don't mean to take up your show.
All right, well, let's talk about that a little
right.
bit. You know, most of the money from the federal government that comes to the county for infrastructure, so roads and bridges, for affordable housing, for example, and for development projects, is supposed to go to the county outside of the city of Chicago. That's where that money goes. And we have invested that money basically in our south suburbs. And we've done that because this is the most challenged part of our county. And so it's places like Harvey and Phoenix and Robbins, right? And Dalton.
Posen.
Yeah, Posen. Okay, so those are the communities where we've invested a lot of our resources because we know that those are the parts of our county that struggle the most, that have the greatest infrastructure needs, that have the greatest development needs. And, you know, just as in the city, there are communities on the south and west side that have been disinvested in for decades and have not gotten their fair share of city resources. The parts of the county where we've focused our efforts are those communities which have not had appropriate investments by the county for decades as well. And so we're investing not just in the streets and the highways, but also in affordable housing and in economic development projects. And I think that's really critical because one of the things we've learned is that those parts of the country that do the best economically have the least inequality. And one of the drags on our economic development in northeastern Illinois and Cook County is that we have tremendous inequality. So if we can help those communities that are asset rich but are struggling, you know, that will lift everyone up.
You know, I'm sure I've known you a long time. First off, I want to say your staff was a great staff. I was glad to aid in a sense.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Grateful for your support.
Yeah, it was sometime we was drinking the coffee like it was Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? But suffice to say this. You got a lot of support and a lot of respect. And though the biased media don't want to, they trying to find where you're a loser. Like I told a friend of mine, I was telling him, you know, he said, Gator, I bet you're not going to be with a winner. And I've told him, I said, look, man, I don't gamble, but I'm with a winner. Because you had just won the county board, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to rob a friend, you know what I mean? But
let's talk about what we're going to do in the county going forward. You know, I think it's really important, particularly for members of the African American and Latinx community, to understand that the census is coming up in 2020.
Correct.
And this is billions of dollars that are at stake. Billions of dollars. And we have to be sure that there's a complete count, that every single one of our residents is counted. Because there's a lot of federal money that comes not just to the county, but to our cities and towns and villages, to our public schools, that's based on a per capita formula, a per person formula. So the more population you have, the more money you get from the federal government. So it's really critical that we have a complete count. And we've put $2 million aside in the county to support community-based organizations that are doing outreach around the census, because we want to be sure that everybody's counted. And so that's the first thing that we're going to start working on pretty much immediately. The census will be complete next April, so we want to be sure that people are aware that it's coming and that they're encouraged to participate and they get the support they need to participate, because most of the work is going to be done electronically this time. Right. So that's really critical. And you know, the public health and public safety work that the county does, it's part of our legacy responsibility. I know you know, Gator.
Yes.
County Care is our Medicaid expansion program, and we have 320,000 people who have insurance who either didn't have it consistently before or didn't have it at all. 320,000 people who now have health insurance, and that's provided by Cook County, and it's part of our health and hospital systems services to the people of the county. 320,000 people who have health care coverage who didn't have it before. So that's on the health care side in terms of who we serve. And we've just built, as you're probably aware, a beautiful new building right behind Stroger Hospital. It's a clinic and a professional building right there just to the south of Stroger. Beautiful new building which we opened in October. Just earlier this month, I was in Arlington Heights where we opened a beautiful new clinic, a walk-in clinic for the residents of the northwest part of our county. And we're going to have improvements in facilities elsewhere in the county in the months and years to come. So we're investing physically in our facilities, And we're investing, of course, in our Medicaid expansion program, County Care. So we have better facilities in which to deliver our great care, and we have lots of people, 320,000 people that we're delivering care to. So that's our health care side. On the criminal justice side, and this I know is particular interest to you.
Yes, it is.
You know, when I came into office, there were 10 or 11,000 people in the jail on a daily basis. And many of those people, the overwhelming majority, were there accused of nonviolent crimes, and they were too poor to pay their bond. Now, when our jails are places of pretrial detention, so people have not been convicted of the crime they're accused. In our system, you're presumed innocent.
You're innocent.
Right? But we had people in jail, presumed innocent, but they were in jail because they couldn't pay a bond. And so working with the Chief Judge, Tim Evans, the State's Attorney, Kim Fox, the Public Defender, Amy Campanelli, the Sheriff, Tom Dart, the Clerk of the Court, Dorothy Brown, working with all the stakeholders, we focused on bond court. And we have now, as a result of changes in bond court and reduced reliance on cash bond, we have less than 6,000 people in the jail.
Correct.
And that means people who are accused of nonviolent crimes are less likely, and couldn't get out because they couldn't pay a bond, are now out in the community, going to work, going to school, supporting themselves and their family.
But you know, one of the things that they need to know too, your physical, the money. Fiscal, thank you. Your fiscal responsibility by making sure that y'all did to make sure that people are released from the county jail because they couldn't make bond. It's because of how much money that y'all had to pay for the meals that was stuff that was coming out of the county, your capital budget fund or whatever it is.
Right, it was costing us, I think it cost us $162 a day to keep somebody in jail. Now that's a lot of money.
And your bond is $200.
And sometimes, yeah, they had a couple $100 bond, and we were holding them in jail, sometimes for weeks or months, because they couldn't pay a couple $100, and it was costing us $162 a day to hold them there. So it didn't make sense from a monetary perspective, but more important than that, it didn't make sense from a social justice perspective.
Correct.
If you have money and you can be free, why should we hold people in jail who are poor just because they don't have the money to pay a cash bond?
Right. On that, it was an individual that had been locked up for, I think, 28 or 29 years. Not Joe Reed. There's another individual I read in the paper that just got released on bond because the appellate court made a decision that he should have a new trial. And the judge that the case went back to allowed him to have a bond hearing, and they asked the family what bond could they make, and they said they could get $2,000, which is $20,000, and he was released on the home monitor and all of that. One of the things that the people, they like in reference to Gerald Reed, you spoke to him. That's one of the individuals that had been locked up. Gerald Reed had been locked up 28 years for a crime he didn't commit. And when the judge gave him a new trial, the first thing he did when he had a taste of freedom, that's what he shared with me, was that he was allowed to vote. And they came and they told him in his cell that, because yes, you know, detainees have the right to vote.
Right.
And everybody is paying attention to the special prosecutors, because sometimes special prosecutors, as you know, they are private attorneys.
Right.
Okay, so
they're appointed by the court.
They're appointed by the court, but they're private attorneys, and all their concerns are continue, so they can charge the county. So that may be something that you may want to look at, you know. But again, I just want to. I'm glad I can publicly say this to you. You're doing great work. I love your strength and your tenacity. You know what I mean? There's no, lack of a better phrase, there's no folding in your spirit because you're sincere about serving the people. I know only one servant that served greater than you, maybe because they've been serving longer than you, and that's been Secretary Jesse White.
Jesse White.
Right.
He has a longer career in public service than I do.
Correct. You know, and again, I'm so elated that we able to show to the viewing audience, here's an individual that was, I went through the system and out the system, the judicial system, the criminal system, to the point I got a pardon from the governor. And I go back behind the wall to help the individuals who were tortured by corrupt officers, to help them get an attorney and get out. You know what I mean? So that's my
God's work.
Yes, it is.
God's work.
Yes, it is. And so, county residents, Kim Foxx just happened to be not only a great state's attorney, she just happens to be an African-American woman that was elected by the Cook County.
By the people of Cook County.
By the people of Cook County. So people of Cook County, you did not make a mistake by electing this woman that was sincere to criminal justice reform. Because one thing for sure, there's Latinos or Latinx. There's white individuals that's coming out of the jail because of criminal, or what could I say?
Criminal justice reform.
Criminal justice reform. Don't let someone try to convince you like it's a black thing. The black community was a part of an electorate in Cook County that knew that the state's attorney's office was corrupt within itself because of the cover-up, because of what happened to the guy on Rush Street. And the Sun-Times had wrote so much about it that they almost got a library based on that case. Kim Foxx is doing the best that she can with what she has to work with, and she's doing, I can say that, she's doing a hell of a job. So,
well, I think we got to keep our eyes on the ball.
Yeah, we do.
And
yes, we do.
We have to understand that this furor around Jussie Smollett is a convenient cover for people who are unhappy more broadly with the criminal justice reforms
right.
that she has been a proponent of and worked so hard to achieve. This is a convenient excuse to express their unhappiness, but what they're really unhappy about is the reforms that she's.
Oh, no question. The reason that the Fraternal Order Police has a problem is because the corrupt police, not all police officers, those corrupt police officers that end up going to the penitentiary for doing the wrong to individuals, has framed individuals and had them, because of what they did, their misconduct, had them individuals sent to the penitentiary. That's wrong. So, hey, I see the wife out there, she ain't blowing kisses, she popping her fingers in that old Z, you know, whatever that means, but I hear you, boo. I got to wrap this up, and with that I want to say, Madam President,
thank you very much.
And to God be the glory.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm grateful.
Thank you.